Hey Team Journey, it's Anna Shannon. First of all, I'm super excited to just be sharing with you guys today. I know it's not live, but we are on our way to Chicago, and Beth asked if I would come and just share some little pointers as you guys get together today and have a good time. And I hope you guys realize what a privilege this business is, not because we make money from this business, but because we have a sisterhood and a family and people that are there for us and that care for us. And I think that that's something that brings so much value to this business. And so I'm going to dive right in because I don't want to take forever doing this, but really across the board, want to hit on about 3 to 4 things for you guys today. Real quick, just recapping what an exciting time, to be in business with Rodan & Fields. Obviously with, the innovation across the board, new products coming in October, launching into a new country in Australia, and continuing to just, see what the doctors have for us, not only on a product platform, but on a global platform is extremely exciting, and it should fire you up to, be prepared for some growth. And so if you're not at that place in your business, maybe you need to do some prodding and you need to, ask yourself why you haven't really seized this opportunity, or what's holding you back, if you will. Okay. So the first thing I want to talk to you guys about today, is your belief. And I know that it might sound like a broken record and you get sick of hearing mindset and belief, but there's a reason why it is rehearsed and replayed and re-talked about all the time, because it is truly the cornerstone to anything that you do. Take, for example, your daily jobs. If, you are out in the working force as a teacher, if you, are in a service somewhere as a, physical therapist, as a nurse, maybe you're a cosmetologist, maybe you're, you're serving people in that regard. And I think, a lot of times we we forget that we had a lot of preparation and training and experience with some hands-on things before we even got put into maybe that position, right? And I know not everything you learn in a classroom, not everything you learn in the job you're doing now was learned until you got there. I get that. But if you never showed up, right? You never clocked in, and you never had that open heart and that open mind, your belief in what you're currently doing in your day job would not be there. I think about that all the time. Nurses see so many different aspects of patients and circumstances, and they only get better at their craft and at their skill if they show up to work and if they're in and out of those situations all the time, right? No different than me sitting here training you guys right now. I don't know everything there is to know about Rodan & Fields. Have I been in it long enough to really understand the grasp of it? Yes. But if I don't talk about it ever, and if I don't ever put myself out there, and if I don't show up every day, I lose my edge, right? I lose what I know, or I lose that confidence and that belief in myself to be able to do what's in front of me. So I think we're overthinking this a lot of times when we think about this business. Guys, if you don't ever do it, if you don't ever do 3-way calls, if you don't ever do reach outs and check in on your verbiage, if you don't ever host an event, and if you don't attend corporate events, right? If you don't do these things, you can see very quickly why you're in the position that you're in, okay? And another thing you want to think about is maybe you're not that type of person that wants to go to the very top of this company, and that's okay too. But even if you don't want to be, making just a couple $100s a month, and you really want to be making 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000 or whatever that looks like, you're still going to have to do some things that you're not doing right now in order to get there. And I think that that's anything that you do in life. Everything is constantly evolving and changing. I think of no better industry than the fitness and health industry. There is always going to be the cutting edge of what's next, what's new, how can we continue to help people better and faster and stronger and longer. The keto diet is all over the place right now, right? Think about that, guys. So if you're not plugging in, you're not showing up, you're not talking about it, your belief bubble is not going to exist. It is going to waver. It's going to look very patchy, if you will, right? Like this, up and down and up and down. So I want you guys to think of that. If your belief isn't where it is, chances are you're not doing the action that you need to build up your belief tank, okay? I truly believe those two things go hand in hand. Okay, prime example, I made my sister do a 3-way call today with me, right? And she's like, oh my gosh, you want me to do the actual, part of the talking, of not just listening? And I said, yeah, that's what I want you to do. And she's like, are you sure? And I said, yep, I'm sure. And Em's been in this business for, a little over a year. So think about, why I asked her to do it is because if I don't ever embrace who she is and allow her to step into a role of doing this, it's never going to build her up. It's never going to give her the opportunity to do so. So think about that in a regard as well. If you've got some people on your team that you need to challenge and that you need to push to do things so they can grow, then give them those opportunities as well, okay? Then that way they can believe their belief or build up their belief bubble. The second thing is, and this isn't, a book that I'm specifically telling you guys to go out and get. This is actually a study that Carrie and I are doing for our small group at our church, but personal development, hands down, has to be in your repertoire to build your belief. Why? Guys, because we get knocked down every single day in our lives, whether that's with our spouses, our kids, our work life, maybe a friendship, whatever that could be. And sometimes it affects who we are. It affects how we see things, how we say things, how we act. And when we're not in a place to be teachable and coachable and our pride is set and we're in this funk, if you will, then you're going to remain. You're going to stay there. And so I think this is something I truly got away from when I moved. And I didn't even realize that I did it. But I wasn't spending time developing myself anymore. I mean, I would get up and I would do a little quiet time and pray, but I wasn't spending time reading every single day or listening. If you're not a reader, listening to, a podcast of some sort. You've got to constantly build your belief bubble. And if you're not, life will win every single time. Okay. So again, I'm not sitting here saying you need to spend hours upon hours, but on your drive home from work, maybe you're out, on a family walk, or maybe you're out on a jog. I like to listen to things when I run. That's a prime example of maybe plug into a daily experience, whatever, right? So I think that those are a couple things that you guys really, really need to take note of right here at the beginning. Check in with yourself. How is your belief bubble? How are you operating? Are you operating in fear or are you operating in faith? Have you stepped out? Do you challenge yourself to take those 3-way calls? Do you show up to that corporate event? Do you make it a priority to be there, right? Do you, make sure that you're committed to the reach out you say you're going to do? Or are you wishing instead of working? Okay, that's something you really need to ask yourself. So where's your belief first and foremost? Because your belief will then transpire into your action, which is the second thing I'm going to talk about. Okay, and your action is everything you can do to build your business, right? We call them our IPR, income producing activities. So your reach outs, your 3-way calls, your follow-ups, your events, your one-on-ones, your coffees, and all that good stuff. Your social media, marketing, all has to be consistent. It has to be a consistent effort. And, I know for a fact that it might get tiring and exhausting and kind of seem like it's repetitive, but think about any good athlete or any good musician or dancer, or artist, anybody that has mastered a skill, sometimes has to go to practice or has to go to a session and do something that they probably just are like, man, I really don't want to do, play violin for the next hour because I'm tired and I don't want to have to practice, right? Or I really don't want to have to go to volleyball practice, and be on the court for the next hour because I'd rather be, watching Netflix. I don't know. But every single person I know that has been successful in any of those areas create something called muscle memory and create something called consistency, and it becomes part of who they are. It becomes a practice. It becomes something that they know they must do, or when it comes time to perform, they will fail. Okay, so stay with me here. Your activity, your action is your practice time in your business. And if you are not practicing every day or whenever you have allotted to work your business, you better believe when it's come time to perform, one-on-one conversations, maybe you're out to dinner with some friends and you have the opportunity to share Rodan and Fields, but you're too afraid because you haven't been practicing and putting the time in, and so you bite your tongue and you move on and then you kick yourself later, right? Or, you cannot bring people into the business because you're afraid that you don't have some big story to tell, or whatever the case is, right? But remember, if we're going to create muscle memory, if we're going to create skill set, if we're going to create mindset, we have to practice it. And if we don't practice it, what's that saying? If you don't use it, you lose it. 100% true. Okay? So belief bubble, number one. Number two is your action. You have to be consistent. It is your practice time in your business, and it is 100% crucial to your success because you never ever know, A, what someone is looking for, okay, ever, and two, you don't ever know if the timing is going to be right for that person now, 2 years from now, 2 months from now, whatever that looks like. And so if you shut the door and you put your close sign up, that Susie Q just signed under someone else, or right, she bought product from this girl over here because she was working her business. So you have to constantly understand that you are running a business. Okay, unless you choose and want to just be a face wash seller, that's great. Okay, communicate that with the person you're working with so they know how to coach you. Okay, they know how to direct you and guide you in that path of what that looks like. Okay, and so tying into belief, consistency, action. I think a lot of times one of the places I struggled really early on in my business was, well, you know what? I was making $400 or $500 a month. How was I going to share this with someone for them to see that, this was worth leaving their job for someday, or this was going to be the next biggest thing, or whatever? How was I going to do that? I only had, this little small story. We utilize people in our network. Okay, so here's what I'm talking about. Let's say you have a great friend or a family member or an acquaintance or whatever it is who you think would be really awesome at this business, but you're just not sure how to approach them because you just don't feel like your story is all that in a bag of chips yet. You use relatability, and this is why our three-way calls are so solid, why they work, right? So when I was getting started in my business, I would use Maisha all the time. I would use people like Kendall, like Stephanie. Guess what? They had been in the business 2 to 3.5 years in front of me, so I could say my friend Stephanie has been able to retire from her own marketing business, which was a 6-figure income, to do Rodan and Fields, and I would love for you to hear her story, and I am on track to do the same, right? Or I am on track to, double my paycheck by the end of this year. Speak those things out. Share that. But I didn't ever bow down and say, oh, I just don't have this story to share. I specifically used other people in my reach that had success and that I knew could speak the things that I needed my network to hear. I use that third-party validation. So guys, it's okay if you don't feel like your story is, this whole huge thing. Use people in your network. Use people that have been down this path before and that have, left their full-time job to work from home, or that have paid off some, student loan debt or whatever. Utilize people in your network as you're building your own story. It's extremely powerful. And then just say, I'm on track to be there myself and I can't wait to, to taste what that looks like or whatever, just be so excited and passionate about it. But you also got to get out from behind your computer. And if you're just going to send little Facebook messages and text messages, and you're not ever going to video people, and you're not ever going to meet people one-on-one, and you're not ever going to get on the phone, you're going to exhaust yourself to no end. You're going to be running your head into that wall every day because people still need that interaction. They need to see you. They need to hear you. They need to realize that this is a serious thing. And we just can't feel that sensation over a text message, right? How many times have you gotten a message and misinterpreted how that person wanted to say it? I do it all the time with my husband. I think he's being serious about something and he's being sarcastic, right? And I thought, oh, well, if you just would have called me and said it, I would have known, right? So there's a prime example right there, how oftentimes our messages probably don't come across quite like we want them to because we're just hiding behind that technology. So if you're making excuses about not having this very big, powerful story, then as you're creating your own, use other people's story. That's still a ton of credibility and validation. Hey, my friend or my business partner or, my sister or whoever it happens to be, use that, okay? That's extremely powerful. That is how I started to build my story, because then I could come back and say, hey, I signed up for this 2 years ago and now I've been able to quit 2 jobs. Meanwhile, I'm having people like Kendall and Stephanie and Shayla and Maisha and Kara all help me do 3-way calls for my prospects as I'm building my story, okay? So if you're not doing 3-way calls and you're not getting in front of people, then you probably are frustrated, and it's time to change that tune. Don't make excuses. Build your story and allow other people to help you do the heavy lifting, okay? Third thing, guys, is your consistency in the media world. Networking today is like nothing I have ever seen. In fact, I went to go get my nails done this afternoon, and I left my phone in the car because I'm on it all the time, and I just thought, you know what, it'll be great to just go get my nails done and, just relax for a little bit. And I was in there, and there's a bunch of people in this place where I went to get my nails done, and every single one of them, not one person was not on their phone besides myself. I left it in the car. And it just dawned on me how different that would have looked 10 years ago, right? Like, everyone would have probably, not been on Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat or wherever they were searching around, right? So my point is, if you're not going to leverage networking and social media, you're silly. I'm not saying that is, you need to be on there every 5 seconds posting and being crazy and whatnot, but you have got to be consistent. That is your storefront. That is your boutique, that's in the corner store downtown, right? Like, you have to realize that is your open sign. And the minute you stop being a part of that social world, they're moving on to the next Sally who's selling it or whatever that looks like. So make yourself be committed to that. The other thing I challenge you to do to set yourself apart is to be a storyteller. Don't be an advertiser. Advertiser. Does that make sense? Advertiser. Anyways, whatever. Don't be an advertiser. Be a storyteller. It's getting late. But my point to that, guys, is that people like content, they like value, and they like a message. If it's always going to be a before and after, if it's always going to be join my team, if it's always going to be buy this and get this for free, you're going to become the scroll hole. Add value, add content, share things that are meaningful and purposeful, and add just that, that sounded good. Ooh, that hits me here. Ooh, if someone feels this way, or if I feel this way, then someone else might feel this way type of mentality. And I think that that's one area in my business I will say that has probably helped me grow the fastest in my customer and recruiting department, because then people see that I'm approachable. A lot of times what we like to do in our lives is we like to keep people at arm's, don't be in my circle, don't be in my stuff. And what I've ultimately learned, guys, is that we don't have anyone to fool. Like, we are in this life, on this earth, regardless. And so for me, it's how many people can I get inside that boat? Who can row in my boat with me in this life, right? And if that person decides where Dan & Fields is not for them, that's okay. I still want them in my boat. If I can help them in their faith, if I can help them in their family life, if I can help them with their fitness, if I can help inspire them as a dog mom, whatever it is, right? Like, I think so many times we we have to fool people, and that's not true. We have to understand we've got to get to that place of vulnerability. I know Bess read this book, Brene Brown, Daring Greatly. Hands down, believe that you must, vulnerability to me is, vulnerability is one of those things that I think has really grown my business, because it doesn't put me up here. Keeps me right here with where everybody else is. Yes, I've had some great successes in Rodan and Fields, but I've had just as many failures, if not more. And I've had some great successes in my life, but I've had just as many failures, if not more. But they're only failures if we don't learn from them, and they're only failures if we quit. And so you must get this desire to want to learn more about things that you're inadequate about. And that was one thing Leslie Zann really touched on when I got to see her in Little Rock was she had mentioned that when Instagram came out, her assistant said, Leslie, I think we need to get on Instagram. And she's like, Instagram? Are you kidding me? She's like, I don't have time for Instagram. I don't know nothing about it. No. And, her assistant was persistent after her saying, Leslie, if you don't know anything about it, then it means you probably need to learn it because it's probably going to benefit you in ways you can't imagine. And she didn't even realize what she was all missing out on. And so she says, you know what? I fought her for a couple of months, and then I finally decided to sit down, take some time, watch some Instagram trainings, start to understand it, start to share some valuable content, and I've been able to spread and grow my market a little bit wider because of Instagram, right? Whatever. But I used to be that way with numbers, right? I used to say, oh, I'm not a numbers person, don't ask me that. Or, oh, I don't even know. So I would go to Karen, I would make excuses. Guys, you're only inadequate at things if you say you are and you allow yourself to stay there. So if you're not good at talking about the business, if you're not good at talking about the products, if you're not good at posting on social media, whatever, how can you become better at something? You research it, you read it, you watch it, you listen to it, you do it. That's it right there. And the more you do it, the better you become. You can learn, okay, that's not something I think I should probably do again. I didn't get good feedback from that, or okay, that was a positive. I'm going to move forward in that direction. But you can't just sit right here and do the same things. I am not doing the same things in my business today that I started doing 5 years ago. It'll be 5 years this October, next month, that I've been doing Rodan and Fields. And if I was doing the exact same things that I was doing in my business that I was doing then, who knows? I mean, I'd be going backwards, I can tell you that. So if you're not in this, I'm going to use Forte State slogan, forward-thinking, world-ready mode, then you better get yourself there. Because that is where Rodan and Fields is at. They are all about moving forward, innovative, moving to the next biggest and grooviest thing, and you better be on that rocket ship, and you better be willing and ready to embrace it and to learn and grow from those things, because it's not out to get you. It's out to make you realize, hey, I'm inadequate in some areas, and if I could sharpen these up, it's going to make a difference, right? And I used to look at that as a negative thing. I'm so hard on myself. I'm a very performance-driven person, always have been. And it's definitely something I'm trying to be mindful of, and I think a lot of us in this business are. But we have to understand that inadequacy is not a bad thing. We just have to learn, to take those things and to move forward with them and to be coachable with them. Okay? So, belief bubble. Where is it? Is it non-existent? Is it good when your business is going good, but then when it's quiet and it's silent and you're getting 1,000 gazillion no's, then it goes down the tubes, right? Very easy. It can happen overnight like that, especially when things are not going good. That is why your personal development, your daily experience trainings, plugging in, showing up, being consistent, doing your action is so important to your belief, okay? Number 2, where's your action at? Are you coming to practice every single day and putting in action, or are you just appearing to be? Because numbers don't lie, right? How's your recruiting? How's your stuff going? If you're actually doing the action at some point in time, your funnel will empty out. I've seen it happen 1,000 times. So if that's the case, if it's not, then maybe let's do it. Maybe you are doing all the action and we need to check the verbiage and the approach and all those things. And in that case, let's get on that, okay? How is your consistency and your committed effort to doing this business and your social media and being open? I think that that's also extremely important, and it's something we're going to only have to continue to do as we launch into other countries, because they're coming right around the corner next year, the year after, etc. Okay? And then lastly, you have to continue to build your story. And the only way you can build your story is by putting yourself out there every single day. And in the meantime, you're going to utilize people in your networks to be relatable to those people that you need to bring on into this business. That's exactly how you're going to do it. And then your story is going to build from there. And then you are going to be in a really awesome place because you've moved forward. You're not allowing yourself to stay there. And guys, I truly believe each and every one of you has a purpose and a plan and the capacity to do amazing things. But the problem is that a couple of things will happen. Someone will listen to this today and they will get fired up and they will get inspired and they will actually do something about it. But the majority, it'll go in one ear, out the other, and it will just be another training. And so my hope and my prayer for you is that this lights something under you to know that you don't have to have sales background. You don't have to have a network full of gold, a high class profile, none of these things to be successful in this business. But if you don't show up, you aren't going to choose to do hard things more times than not, and you're not going to kick fear to the curb, you will just remain in this business. And I think eventually you'll find that it's too exhausting to continue. So I want to encourage you to realize that your one yes that you said to this business was extremely powerful. And now it is up to you to do something with that yes. What kind of legacy are you going to leave for you and your family and their families to come, right? I think about that all the time. Who can I impact and what kind of legacy am I going to leave? So I hope this helps, Team Journey. You guys are all amazing. I love having you be a part of this journey and this business more than you will ever know. I appreciate your hard work and your efforts, and I believe that each of you have the capabilities to shine. So go do it. Have a great day, guys. Love you all.